So I got my first bakery job when I was 16, and my main job was making the scone mix. And I would come in after school and make the scone mix so that the early morning baker was all set and ready to go, and they could just kind of add the last couple things and get them baking. But then after I graduated high school, no one really wanted to be the early morning baker. So they were like, you really want to do that, right, Erin? And I was so hungry to bake, and I just wanted to do it so badly that I did. So the summer after my senior year of high school, when all my friends were staying out late and kind of going out all the time, I was going to bed at 7 p.m. so that I could wake up in the middle of the night to bake scones. My favorite part of the job, I think, was I had to deliver the scones to this local coffee shop. So I'd always make a couple extra that were small, and my parents lived near the coffee shop. So I'd bring them warm scones, and then I'd go make the delivery, and then I'd go back to work. Hello and welcome to this episode of Happy Baking. I'm Erin Jeanne McDowell, and in this episode we are going to make a recipe extremely close to my dairy-loving heart, my fluffy cheese curd scones. I love scones because they feel really fancy but are actually so easy to make. Plus, it's easy to tweak the base recipe to use all different kinds of inclusions, so you can really customize them and make them your own. This is an especially yummy recipe from my newest book, Savory Baking, but you can also snag the recipe in the video description below if you want to bake along with me. All right, let's get baking. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 205 degrees Celsius with the oven racks in the upper and lower thirds of the oven. Next, use your hands to break up the cheese curds into bite-sized pieces. Depending on the type of cheese curds that you're using, you may have to do this a little bit more or a little bit less. Today, my cheese curds are actually quite large, so I'm gonna crumble them up quite a bit. Whisk the all-purpose flour, granulated sugar, baking powder, and fine sea salt together to combine. Even though this is a savory recipe, I like to use a small amount of sugar in this recipe. It helps to keep the scones moist, and if you don't eat them all the same day that they're baked, it helps give them a little longer shelf life. If you want to skip the sugar, completely fine. It won't really change the end flavor. Next, I'm gonna cut my cold butter into 1/2-inch cubes. I do this by cutting the stick in half, rotating it, cutting it in half again, and then going right down the line to cut my little cubes. Add the cold cubed butter to the flour and toss to make sure each cube is well coated in flour, breaking up any pieces that are sticking to each other while you work. Use your hands or a pastry cutter to cut the butter into the flour. The goal here is to work the butter until the largest pieces are about the size of peas and no larger. There'll be plenty of pieces a lot smaller than that too. Next, add the cheese curds and toss well to combine and evenly distribute. Then, make a well in the center of the bowl. Add the cream to the well and mix. You can use your hands to mix, or you can use a silicone spatula, and it should start to come together pretty easily. It should look craggy, not smooth. If the dough seems dry, you can add more cream, 1 tablespoon or 18 grams at a time until it comes together. I like to use a 1/4 cup or number 16 scoop to portion my scones, but you can also just use your hands to do this or kind of eyeball it, but I'm aiming for about a rounded 1/4 cup in size. Place the scoops of dough onto the baking sheet. You want to stagger them a little bit, leaving at least 2 inches or 5 centimeters around them so that they have a little room to spread. I like to brush the scones with a little bit of egg wash. It promotes browning on that craggy surface and gives a really lovely end texture. And that's it, we're ready to bake the scones. Transfer them to the oven and bake them for 18 to 22 minutes. About halfway through that baking, I like to swap the racks that they're on and turn the baking sheets around just to make sure that they're browning evenly. Let the scones cool for about 15 minutes before you serve them, and honestly, I know it can be hard to wait that long. Just be careful that you don't burn your tongue because there is molten cheese inside these scones. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Happy Baking, where we made my super easy, fluffy cheese curd scones from Savory Baking. You can find more delicious savory recipes inside the book. It's linked in the video description below. And if this recipe inspired you to bake, please, please, please let me know in the comments. I love to know what you're making in your own kitchens. All that's left to do is taste. So until next time, I'm gonna wish you lots of happy baking. Okay, I think I want this one. It's like got some nice golden brown bits. It's still a little warm. And it's got these melty, gooey cheese curd pockets all throughout. It's perfect. Mmm.